Alright, welcome back. Without further ado, let's talk about Bandzoogle versus Squarespace. Squarespace versus Bandzoogle. So I have decided on a few categories, which I'm gonna go by and give a 1 to 10 rating. This is very subjective, this is not science, this is all just by how I feel, so take it with a grain of salt, but yeah. Okay, let's begin with Bandzoogle. Bandzoogle is in general a very complete tool. The first category was ease of use. And while Bandzoogle is pretty easy to use, it is a bit weird in terms of menu structure and the workflow you use. For example, I found the content sections a bit confusing. The navigation in the content editing mode feels a bit clunky. I think it's supposed to mimic what Squarespace does, which I'm gonna go into in a little bit, but it just doesn't. It feels wonky. That's the word I'm gonna use here. Wonky. In general, I'd say it's about a 7. So let's give it a 7 points. There's definitely room for improvement there, but it's not bad at all. It's pretty easy to use. Next up are the templates, and for the templates, I've got to say, when I looked at it about 2 to 3 years ago, it was alright. There were some modern ones, but they actually had some really ugly ones. I think they eliminated pretty much all of them. I didn't see them at least, and they've added a bunch of new ones. So the new designs are very neat, are optimized for mobile pretty well, and very usable. So I'll give it 9 points there. Okay, then we have customizability. Customizability isn't a point that is very, very important to me, but I'm glad that in Bandzoogle you do have some options to change. So you're not able to change the layout in a major way, but you can adjust colors and even custom CSS and add some fonts, and so there's some room, but it's not a huge room, which isn't a big deal for me necessarily, because that's actually what I'm trying to get away from. So this is why I'm going to give 7 points to customizability. Next up are features. As mentioned before, Bandzoogle offers a great amount of features in a huge variety. You can sell tickets, you can sell merchandise, you can sell your music, you can organize events and list your events. You have a blog feature, you even have a mailing list feature, which is I'm just gonna say it's bad. It's really bad. Like, you don't use it. Even the free MailChimp version is a lot better than what they offer, and I think that's why they never really developed the tool. In general, I have to say that Bandzoogle does offer a wide variety of features, but not in great depth. Once you go into detail, they don't really do that well. They just lack a lot of detail, especially when it comes to things like GDPR, which is very important for Europeans. It's a necessity and it's law, and they don't offer any tools really to help you be GDPR compliant. They don't even offer a cookie banner. At least I didn't find one. So if I'm wrong on that, please correct me, but I didn't find one. So it's 7 points for the variety, but they do lack some detail. Next up, integrations. Bandzoogle does offer integrations to very common tools like Pledge Music or Bands in Town, even something like TextJar. You can even inject your own HTML code into the site, so you can use a lot of tools that you can use by this method. So say like Google Analytics or Facebook Pixel or whatever. But I do have to say that there weren't a lot of integrations that I thought were like really, oh wow, that's cool that they integrated that. This is only based on about an hour or 2 trying. So now we come to one of the most important points, which is pricing. The pricing model is difficult, let's put it that way. It's alright in terms of how much you have to pay, but I think in most cases you will have to go with a pro model, just because the other models lack a lot of features. For example, the possibility to sell physical goods, or even add video headers and custom fonts, which is, I don't know, that's something that should not be included in a pro plan, but rather should be in all plans, but that's just me. Overall, I think the pricing is alright. You do get a lot for your money, and because of the fact that the pricing model is skewed into the direction of the highest tier plan, I just gave it 5 points, because I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's how you should do it, but hey. And now we come to the gut factor. I gave 6 points here, and the reason is that I do feel that the tool is really helpful for musicians who don't know anything about, web design or how to create a website and all the tools, and that's why it offers a lot. But somehow it doesn't feel like a finished product. For a tool that's on the market since 2003, they just lack the depth that they need to support the pricing, in my opinion. And additionally, I think that every musician who's a bit more serious about his business will probably outgrow it very, very quickly. And you know, for the MISC section, I gave it 4 points because they lack the GDPR readiness, which is very important for the European market, as I said. And they don't really have anything that sticks out to me except for the fact that it's a very complete tool in terms of the variety of tools. And I have to say, I like the reporting feature, which is supported by the fact that you do have a lot of tools to draw data from, and which helps you analyze, for example, sales or visitors and how they relate and correlate. So that's kind of nice. Overall, Bandzoogle gets a 6.4 from me. That's pretty much where my gut feeling is actually, so it's nice that it turned out that way. Okay, so much for Bandzoogle. Now let's get to Squarespace. For those who don't know Squarespace, and I don't think there's many people who don't, Squarespace is the most popular website builder out there. And once you open it up, you'll see why. When we look at how easy it is to use, it's very well structured. You do have a lot of things you can do, which is kind of a negative thing if you're a beginner in that sense, because it can get confusing. It's a much bigger tool than Bandzoogle. You do have a lot more options to create your website and to optimize your website and individualize your website. So there's an up and a downside to that. But overall, I have to say that Squarespace is very well structured. And I think this makes it easier to use than, say, Bandzoogle. But all in all, I'll give it 8 points in terms of ease of use. Next up are templates, and the templates in Squarespace are beautiful. I mean, they have the money to support it. They have really well-designed templates. They're optimized for mobile. You can do a lot with them and they still look great. So the templates are just great, and I can only give them 10 points because there's nothing more to wish for. Now in terms of customizability, you don't have the customizability that, for example, Wix has, where you can, just drag and drop everything where you want it to be. But actually that's also a good point and is the reason why I'm looking to get away from Wix, because while you do have a lot of customizability in Squarespace, you still don't have to worry about, for example, the mobile design or something like that. So you can go into a lot of detail and change a lot of things, but you don't have to, and it still looks good. You can also add custom CSS to further customize it, and you can upload your own fonts and use them, and it's very good. But if you want to customize it further and push every pixel where you want it to be, then that's not possible. That's why I give it 9 points. Now features. Squarespace is getting a lot of features and it's continuously growing, and you already have a wide variety of features that even support somebody like a musician. You can sell your music on the website through the music player, for example, but the features are dependent on what plan you have. So for example, if you want to sell physical goods, you will have to go with the e-commerce packages, which are a lot more pricey. So right now they are even announcing an email marketing tool, which I suppose will be a lot better than what Bandzoogle offered, just because Squarespace is huge and they do have the money to develop a tool that is really good. So even that will be offered. So in terms of features, I'll give it 7 points because it does offer a lot of features, but they are very dependent on the pricing, and yeah, I think that's just fair. So now if it comes to integrations, Squarespace is in the position of the market leader, and they have a ton of integrations, and I'm not even going to mention all of them, but they do offer native integrations to like MailChimp and Google Drive and everything like that. So you are very well positioned if you use that. And that's why I'll give it 8 points in integrations. Now pricing. It can get pretty pricey, depending on what plan you choose. As I said, the packages cost 11 and 17 euros. But those are not the e-commerce packages. The e-commerce packages cost 24 and 36 euros each, and if you want to have any sort of serious online business in terms of a merch shop or something like that, you probably will have to use that. Although I have to say, Squarespace does offer an integration with Shopify, so you might as well go that route maybe and skip the e-commerce plans. You will have to look at what you need. So while you do get a lot for your money, it's pretty pricey, so that's why I'm gonna give it 7 points. So now we come to the gut factor, and Squarespace is the most popular choice, and not without reason, I have to say. If you do have the money to spend for that, then I don't think you can go wrong with it. So I'm gonna give it 9 points. And now for the last category. They have a lot of tools that are just awesome to have. So something like the logo designer will not give you the logo you will use for the rest of your lives probably. But if you're starting out, especially maybe if you're still in school or something like that, and you don't have connections to any designers who could create a good logo for you, then this is a good tool to just start out and have something. And what is really great about Squarespace is that they offer GDPR support. They do give you tools to be GDPR compliant. You do have the cookie banner, and they also give you the option to, for example, disable the Squarespace analytics. And I think that's awesome. For those people who are afraid to meddle with that, they can just disable it and be done with it. So this is pretty cool from them, and I'm glad that they did it. Additionally, you can customize all forms to be GDPR compliant, and have the little checkbox that they've read the terms and conditions, and this is awesome. Thumbs up, Squarespace. So for this category, I will give them 8 points because they have a lot of great tools. They could probably have some more. I don't know, that's just the German in me. Okay, so in total that brings us to a rating of about 8.3, and it makes it the winner in this contest. But I do have to say that in my opinion, Bandzoogle does have a place in the world, and I think it's for starters and people on a tight budget. If you are still in school, for example, and you can't afford Squarespace, then Bandzoogle will give you a lot of tools which are easy to use. But they do need to work on their GDPR compliance, or not on theirs per se, but on the tools to help their users be GDPR compliant. So if you are willing to compromise a bit, then Bandzoogle is a great option. But I think my next tool will be Squarespace, because they offer a lot in the basic packages already, and once you start growing, for example, into a size where you do want to sell physical goods, then you have the option to do that in a very professional manner. So it's very scalable in total. Also, I wanted to reduce my maintenance time for my website, and Squarespace gives me that option, but I have to say it's still nice to know that if I wanted to change more things, then it's still nice to have. Alright, that concludes it. I hope that wasn't too long. It's just a short overview. Again, this is not a scientific review. This is just how I experienced it in 1 or 2 hours of work with each tool. Just test it out, test both out. Those are my pros and cons, but I think you should still see it for yourself. Okay, so I'm gonna cut the vlog short here and be done with it. So here's some B-roll of our dog sleeping.